Everybody, it's your friend Tyler, and welcome to another episode of the Immersive Podcast. As always, an esteemed guest, Jonathan Robinson. He is a past life regression hypnotherapist. He's certified. He is from Canada. He also does Reiki and energy healing work and plenty more. I don't want to speak for the man, so I will let John introduce himself. John, how are you doing today?
Never better. Great to be on, Tyler. Yeah. Jonathan, certified hypnotherapist. I do Reiki, hot and cold therapy, dream interpretation, and interested in a lot of different modalities, remote viewing, and all kinds of things. So
That's excellent, and that's all very, very much within the lane of this production here that we've created, and it seemed to gain a little bit of steam. And just while we're at the beginning here, of course, I want to take just a moment to shout out to our affiliate sponsors, Galactic Federation of Light Clothing. As you see my hat here, if you go on their website, and their Instagram is gfl.earth. All these links are in the bio. Use the code Tyler33 and you get a free hat. You add it to your cart. Got a new hat out right now. It's got a campaign of cancel culture, which I support. I don't support cancel culture, so I like that. GFL clothing, photonically charged clothing, responsibly sourced. Motto is clothing for light workers. So go ahead and check them out and remember that code. Another shout out to Unified TV. There's a link in the bio for a free trial. I personally don't watch a lot of mainstream television. Unified gives a lot of news. The Disclosure series with Ray and Jason Shirka has become very popular. So shout out to them. And of course, Gaia TV. Can't say enough thanks to them. They've got many personalities who have been featured on their network, who have graciously given their time to this show. So we appreciate Gaia and many of the personalities who have been willing to work with us. So thanks a lot, everybody, and especially the viewers. So John, let's get into John Robinson. That's what we're here to talk about today. How long have you been doing past life regressions, hypnotherapy, that kind of thing? When did you first start getting into it?
yeah, so ever since I was younger, I thought about the big picture questions in life. Why are we here? What's our purpose? What happens after we die? And I really ran after those big questions, read a lot of books, was very resourceful until I found answers that were suitable for the moment. I'm super open-minded to anything new, of course. But, it's funny. I was asking the universe for answers. I went to a health food store that day, overheard some guy talking about Michael Newton at the cash register. Didn't know him. First time in the store. My whole body started vibrating, like this is something important. And my mental clarity popped up. When I got home, I researched Michael Newton and just couldn't even sleep that night. I was blown away. But as a skeptic, I didn't believe everything yet. So I started reading books by Michael Newton, Dolores Cannon, and for years, I just was fascinated. Then I got my own past life regression session done on me. It didn't work, which can happen sometimes. I'll go over that, but it actually did work.
Depends on the therapist and your mindset and such, I imagine, right?
It was me, actually. I thought I was imagining these scenes that I was seeing. And then the next time I did a past life, a couple years later, the same scenes popped in my head. I wasn't making it up. It was showing me deep connections to my past. And, there's a lot of other things on my journey. I worked for a holistic healing company, got to speak to thousands of holistic healers, vibed with the hypnotherapist and Reiki people, and got certified. And now I've been doing this about 5 years.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And you have a website where's your main way that you promote your services, just for the audience, your healing and such?
Journeys into Past Lives. So journeysintoPastLives.com. And then my social medias have underscores in between the instead of spaces. So Journeys into Past Lives.
JourneysintoPastLives.com is Jonathan Robinson's website. That'll be in the bio. So don't worry. You don't have to remember it, and you click it and
check it out. I just put a past life quiz on there for anyone interested. I just created this. It's brand new. So really hoping to see some good feedback, or what do you guys think? So go on there, take the past life quiz.
That's fun. People love, something in the door that's interactive. I know that would make me, explore a website a little bit further if there's just something interactive and fun to start with. So props on that. It was also a little bit of value and things like that too. So, or maybe a lot, depending on the person. So that's really cool. I'm proud of you, and congratulations for going out on that whim. I mean, I think we are all aware that, choosing a career. And even myself, just podcasting and talking about these subjects, it can be considered taboo by some. It's been considered in the past, the energy healing, Reiki healing, past life regression, although definitely see, and it's plainly obvious to me that there's a turning of the tides of sorts, that there's it seems that the world at large is a little bit more open to these ideas these days, is a little more open to the ideas of alternative healing, the exploring what we are now a little bit more willing to admit that we don't understand about the mind.
Yeah.
Personally, I've explored those modalities such as, regression, hypnotherapy, energy work, even seeing mediums and things like that. And I can personally attest to the efficacy of those kinds of treatments. And of course, I want to say that it doesn't mean that they're always going to be a one-stop shop, quick fix for every problem, just like anything.
Yeah. And I'd like to personally thank all the holistic healers and spiritual people that came before me and us that paved the way for it to be more accepted now. So,
John, that is one of the better points I've heard made in quite some time. And that's very honorable of you to say. Yes, bless those who paved the way before those of us now. I mean, we feel woo-woo sometimes in certain situations where we have to, be proud and stand our ground and be true to self. Just imagine 100 years ago, 50 years ago, and trying to do the same thing in a world that was much less accepting. That must have been difficult. So yes, much respect to those who came before, the pioneers of these fields.
Love. Yeah, all the teachers that we have a lot of different, so I say 3 different groups of people we should hang out with: our mentor group, our peer group, and protege group. So we have a mentor group that mentors us on how to improve and get better. We have a peer group that we're on the same level as us, that we teach, we hang out with, we're friends with. And then it's great to teach others. So if we have a protege group, you can reinforce the things you already know by teaching a lot of others. So it's good to have that dynamic as well.
I would 100% agree with that. I mean, with any of the disciplines that I'm any bit proficient in, I use guitar as an example. I'm a professional guitar player, and every time I've gone back and taught somebody to play the guitar, personally get a little bit better, whether it's breaking a bad habit that I've developed that deviated from the fundamentals, or reminding myself of something that I learned 25 years ago that I just never really paid much mind to. That reinforcement of the fundamentals is certainly important. So with that being said, is that something that you've incorporated into your lifestyle as a, quote unquote, a light worker and an energy healer, a practitioner of Reiki and hypnotherapy? Do you have students? Do you have people that you mentor, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm doing more groups now. So I see people in person and online with groups, and I join groups of people that I want to get involved with. And, we all have these talents and abilities. With my past life regression, we've reinforced those. So maybe in a past life, you were a musician or a storyteller. I've had people in past lives, I see these patterns actually. So maybe they're in the military in this life, and they were in the military in their last life and last life. So there's different patterns and things like that.
You were talking about past life regression and how people, I asked you about if you had taught it and you had taken on proteges or anything of that sort. And you were going into kind of your explanation on that. I believe that's our question. I don't just period of time, so you don't have to worry about all speak blunder. We all make little blunders. But yeah, I believe the question was, so I guess I could go back to, what's your thought on having the relationship with, mentors, peers, and proteges in regard to your healing modalities and things like that.
Yeah, so I really like this concept, the peer group, protege, and mentor group.
Into it at 10:04 right now.
Yeah, so
John, you had mentioned that concept of peers, mentors, mentees, and all that stuff. Is that something that you have applied to your your work as a light worker, an energy healer, and a hypnotherapist? Do you what's that like in that arena? Your peers, your mentors, and more specifically, your mentees, and do you have mentees? Is that something that is important to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I apply it to all different aspects of life. Sports, it's good to have those to teach and learn and reinforce things. Disc golf is what I play now. It's like a hike in the woods with a purpose. Hypnosis, whatever sport you're doing or activity you're doing, to learn from others is wonderful. You get better faster, you improve. To have those groups of people that are there to encourage you, like a peer group, and then to be able to teach others. So I love to inspire others, teach others, and I'm actually doing more groups now. So I teach, I do breath work, I do dream work classes as well. And then groups, as far as hypnosis, is a good opportunity to kind of join a group if you're not sure and just get a taste of what it's like. And then from there, book a private session to more customize it for your needs.
True. Yeah, that's a really good. I really like your philosophy on the way you're going about these things. I think that's awesome. For example, the hypnotherapy session, the group session, of course, we all know that it's not free. It's not on the house. I mean, hypnotherapists, regressionists, they do what they do, and then I do not believe they should be doing it for free. I mean, it's work. You deserve to be compensated. You got to eat too. But just for example, the person who might, be on the fence about something like that, helping them may not want to dive into a one-on-one session, but they might be open to something that's a group session that's a little bit lower in cost. There's more people associated, so they don't feel so alone. And then, like you said, maybe that seed's planted where they're ready to take that next step and become a little more personalized.
Yeah, in
Like,
fact, I would mention I do self hypnosis almost every day. And so I do listen to a recording of either myself and which I provide to others who are either not sure what it is, or I find that it really enhances the next session. So if they listen to my guided recording, and that's available to everyone, by the way, I'll put a link in the podcast, their other session works even better because just like a sport, you get better at hypnosis or meditation. You learn to let go even deeper every time. And so there's so many different hypnosises on YouTube and available, and they're not going to be just as good as a custom session that's tailored for your specific needs, but it's a good opportunity to try it out it's non-invasive. It's just like a guided meditation.
exactly. And that's a key word there, is non-invasive. Like, these things, they're not going to hurt you. A friend of mine, Antonia Harmon, she's doing a PTSD case study right now, and she's got a few taglines for it, which they're great. And I think they kind of apply to a lot of non-invasive spiritual practices where, she says things like, you've got nothing to lose but your pain, or the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work. Things like that, which I
Yeah.
think is important with some of the, to remind people of with some of these treatment modalities. And it's actually part of the reason that, a lot of the early episodes of this show, I let some energy workers work on me. I did a lot of regression stuff. Some of it was not on the show, but we went on and discussed it afterwards. I've been put into trance and things like that, more to kind of showcase, like, look, like, I believe in this stuff. I'm giving over my intent to these things, but no matter what, like, you're watching this, it's me. It's the one you went to kindergarten with. I'm safe. If the worst thing that could happen is really, I don't personally believe in black magic, so to speak. I don't think that if I let somebody do a little bit of energy work on me, that they're going to trick me and do anything and put any kind of hacks on me. I think if I'm walking with a positive enough frequency and a high enough vibration, that's probably not going to attract
Yeah.
into my existence.
Yeah. And think about it like this. We need to unhypnotize ourselves from our society, our limiting beliefs, our fears, to open up, shed what's dark, and open up to who we truly are on the inside, because we are in this infinite light being that's incarnated into this human body to bring happiness, to learn, to grow, to celebrate, help others. And when we remember that, the world's a happier place, a more loving place. So using this is like a biohack. It's our mind hack. Mental jujitsu. You can learn these breath work and meditation. Anytime you're stressed or frustrated, you can go back to that, find your center, and be more effective and focused. So hypnosis is really natural. We go in and out of it 12 times a day on average. Highway hypnosis is when you're driving and you go on autopilot, you're thinking about that thought and you kind of miss your turn, or a lot of people can relate to that. Crying during a movie. there's a lot of different examples. It's very common. And what we can do is we can do self-hypnosis. If we want to, say we're tired, instead of a meditation, we want to focus on clarity or focus anxiety that day, we can throw on one for that and get that rest that we need. So it's really not like Hollywood. There's no, you never fall asleep or are unaware. You're completely aware the whole time. You remember everything. It's just like reading a long book. You're not going to remember every word or
Every
sentence.
word. Yeah.
But yeah, the impactful moments you will. And it feels very relaxing. And honestly, more and more people are trying meditation and hypnosis now. So I do about half my sessions with people who've never done it before, and the other half people that have. So that's a larger percentage than what it used to be.
That's interesting that, that you're seeing about half of the clientele people as people who are somewhat new to these kind of practices. That's really hopeful to me. That's that tipping of the tides, that critical mass thing that I always talk about. I think that's when things start to really change, is when, I always say everybody's had seeds planted. We've all heard something, and we've all went down a little bit of a rabbit hole with some conspiracy or something that's not accepted as massive mainstream fact. That's a seed planted. Seeds get watered over time. It's not like you just hear something that Alex Jones said once and believe it. I mean, maybe some people do, but you hear these things over time, and you're living in what you think to be the normal, just doing what you're supposed to do as an average American or Canadian or, just Westerner, whatever you were taught you're supposed to be doing. And, for me anyway, it was seeds that were planted. And now that I look back, it was the watering, quote unquote, of those seeds that kind of helps turn me into the person that I am now, and at least put me on a path toward becoming the person that I want to be. And that comes along with just hearing things in repetition over and over again, hearing about hypnotherapy, hearing about energy healing, hearing about quantum physics, hearing about frequency, hearing about,
And let me expand on that, hearing things in repetition. So I give this example: if a hypnotist or I can hypnotize you in 1 hour to make those changes that are lasting, imagine what the media, news, and newspaper can do for 1 hour of your time over 30 years. They do what's called pacing and leading. They'll give you, and this is well known in NLP, they'll give you a few facts in a row. The weather's nice. We're here in the studio. You're watching me. And then they'll say something that's kind of to plant the seed that might not be completely true. But the subconscious does this thing where it lowers its defenses the more truths it hears, and then it will accept the next thing that's said if it's all the way lowered. So that's how how they could impact people over time. And it is what you mentioned, to think critically. Don't follow the crowd, and really make this good discernment.
That's the key word there, is discernment, right? Practice discernment.
Yeah. And I think that's one of my abilities that I've come to realize. And
We need it.
yeah, it's really important. But yeah, hypnosis in general is, think of your mind like a computer. There's the conscious mind, the subconscious, and unconscious. Well, the conscious mind only runs about 5% of the show. 95% is the subconscious mind. That's our patterns and habits and deep-rooted connections. So if we can have the conscious mind step aside, that's when we relax our breath and body and mind. The subconscious mind can take over, and that's when we fill it with lots of affirmations and positive changes that we want to make those changes.
Very well said. And that's why I think we're seeing, and what I'm seeing is the acceptance of this kind of thing in the mainstream via subconscious coaches. I have some friends who that's kind of the arena that they've delved into, and the work that they've went into is working with the subconscious. And I mean, I know for a fact, I mean, I've come from a lot of different worlds. My life story is a little bit crazy, but I mean, I've worked for, 9-figure companies where I'm in the boardroom, and they hire subconscious trainers to come in, before a quarter. That's important to literally get the executives like in a place of its mindset, its framework. It's all subconscious training. And you're sitting here in the boardroom with all these people with suits, and you're thinking this is a place where This is a place where astrology, numerology, energy healing, and anything of that sort goes out the window. And it's really all about numbers and high digit stuff and evidence based results. What I started to see when I did get higher up into the business world is that these people, once they at a certain level, they're actually consulting, well, not only astrologists and numerologists, but on a very, very open level. You know, People who work with the subconscious, which that's how they frame it. But what's really happening is it's a form of hypnotherapy, is what they're doing. It's a mindset shift. They're attempting to get the team together to get a cohesive mindset that's driven towards meeting a certain goal. And not that it's a bad thing. It's interesting to see that it's what you're talking about,
Yeah.
hypnotherapy and what might some people see a sign, hypnotherapy, quit smoking, etc. And they think woo woo. Sorry to burst the bubble, that some of the world's biggest organizations have their top players in a room having their team, for lack of a better word, hypnotized for better performance.
Yeah. And it works.
NFL teams do it. It works.
It works very, very good on individuals who are high performers or really motivated to get to that goal, because they, as long as it's not invasive or hurting them, whatever the modality is that works for you, you don't just have to do hypnosis. It can be Reiki or energy healing or acupuncture, whatever it is. That tool can get you to that goal faster. So you're going to try to use that tool to its ability. And the more you can focus during the session and have those intentions toward that, the more it'll guide your subconscious to what you want.
I would agree 100%. And, this is all stuff that, it's a thinning of the veil for me over the past few years. I mean, I really took the trust fall out of, what was a pretty comfortable, average upper middle class American life and career. I left that. I mean, I don't know if I'm welcome back or not. It's been quite a few years. I took a little bit of a trust fall into just being myself, which at first meant reading books and getting back to meditation, getting my body back in shape, getting healthy. And, now here we are a couple of years later doing a podcast and things like that. But still very much uncertain, and that's okay with me. I love that uncertainty because there's both uncertainty and certainty. I'm certain that I'm myself, that I'm only going to get closer to what my true self is by being open to certain concepts, to certain conversations. And sometimes that means taking a trust fall or two that doesn't make sense on paper.
Yeah, I love that. And growth happens.
It's worked out.
Yeah. And that growth, it doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It happens outside your comfort zone. So doing something that's challenging, trying something new. I had a similar experience, Tyler. I was working in manufacturing and selling manufacturing software for several years. I went into sales and I didn't like my life. I was stuck. I was frustrated. I felt like I had more to offer, but I was just the money. The money was good. I was paying my bills. I started meditating, transcendental meditation. I felt the bliss immediately. I was actually already doing it, but I didn't know what it was. And so I started meditating every day, quit my job, quit drinking, nothing else lined up. I learned some instruments like you. I learned the violin, learned a bunch of different things, kind of went down this bucket list or list of things. And a lot of the things like
to do, right?
Yeah.
Fed your soul.
And so anyone out there who wants to try these things, don't wait, do it quickly, because the faster you fail or do it, the more you'll realize what you want to do. So even if violin it was just a stepping stone to get to where I wanted to go, even though I'm not doing it anymore, you realize what you like as well as what you don't like. So
100%. Yeah, they always say failure teaches you much more than success. I mean, you don't really learn a lot from success compared to failure. Yeah, I tend to not agree with that statement. I mean, I've had a lot of failures in my life, just like everybody else. I like to refer to, my trials and tribulations as testimony, things that I got through, things that you got through, things that all of us got through. They don't have to be looked at as trials or horrible things. But I think to say that.
Can I mention the duality of that? So in humans, we look at black and white or good and bad, but in the spirit world, there's no good and bad. There's that duality as the ego mindset. So they're all just lessons. These challenges we go overcome and the good things, we can't have the good without the bad, but so they're all just lessons and along our soul's journey to who we are.
100%. And thank you for kind of finishing. Sure, you to stop there. Because yeah, that's what I was kind of gonna touch on, was just we tend to think in terms of good and bad, black and white, but for most part that means good or bad. There's an association there.
Yeah.
Something's positive, something's negative. And that is true to some extent, but I always say, the law of one trumps duality to me. Maybe they'll attribute that quote to me one day. I don't know. I believe that the law of one trumps duality. Though duality does exist in our 3D constructs, that ascension that we always talk about, that merging of the souls back into one, that new earth, that whole concept of awakening and ascension, that's what that really is, soul, that there was the descension where souls separate to have different life experiences in all the different human forms and ways possible. And, you know, the ascension should supposedly, by definition, be the opposite of that, where, well, there's some return to oneness, or at least toward oneness, which obviously puts things at odds with duality. But I think there's both. Of course, we experience duality in everything, black and white, good and bad. You said it very well. In the spirit world, in the 5D, in dimensions above what we're operating in, it's not good or bad. It's just the way it's written. It's meant for something. It is very hard to look, yourself in the mirror when you're struggling and say that, or to look somebody who's struggling worse than you could ever imagine and tell them
Right.
that. But
And that's part of this shift that's happening, is really we all love each other. We all want equality and prosperity and to grow and to be on this earth to help others. But we're systematically from the top, it's like we're putting us in this state of scarcity. And when we're in this place of scarcity, we're in the lower chakras. There's Maslow's lower hierarchy of needs, the root chakra, the sacral, and the solar plexus. So we can't expand into love and consciousness and joy and happiness and enlightenment. So when we're just trying to get by, just trying to survive, we do need to survive. So we need to focus on those things. But once we get past that, we can open up to love, enlightenment, joy, and that's the higher chakras. And that's seeing these things from a higher perspective. So when more and more people let go of fear and lack and all those things that hold us down, we can vibrate at an even higher frequency than we are now to be more enlightened and access some of these gifts and abilities that we've had in past lives and make the world more loving.
amen. So you're somebody who's developed, these abilities, which, just for the record, I do believe in Homo sapiens, natural humans. I believe that we, at least many of us, if not all of us, have abilities that we have not tapped into. What's your thought on that? Of course, you've tapped into the ability to sense energies and even manipulate energies a little bit with your energy healing. Obviously, with Reiki, that's an offshoot of working with energy. Do you believe that everybody has the capacity to develop certain abilities that quote unquote seem paranormal,
Yes,
to human, so to speak?
absolutely. We all are endowed with these abilities, these natural. So a lot of us have natural gifts or abilities, like maybe you're good at a sport or reading or whatever that may be. So there's these natural abilities. But I always ask in my sessions, what do we need to work on more? What can we do more? And they say, well, we can meditate more and we can do certain things for that specific individual. But I always ask, can everyone do this? Can everyone communicate telepathically? Can we all do Reiki? Can we all do these different things? And they always say yes, but you didn't learn when you were a baby. You didn't learn when you're a kid. Because when we're kids, we operate in the theta frequency, the frequency of hypnosis, and kids can learn different languages
Till about
extremely quickly.
or so, is that correct?
And what's that?
Is until about like age 4 or so that kids kind of are in that theta state. Is that correct?
It's until about age 8 or 9.
Okay,
So they're
longer. Okay.
absorbing everything. They're basically being programmed for adulthood and complex relationships and stuff like that. So wonder why a lot of adults walk around with childhood trauma, right? And also it's really good to be nice to kids and positive and uplifting to help them. But imagine if all the kids learned how to meditate and learn these things with no restrictions of fear of I can't do that or lack. So it's just our teaching at the beginning. So we all can do these things. Don't give up. You can do hypnosis. You can do Reiki. You can do meditation. You deserve this. You are royalty. No limits on what you can do.
That's a clip right there. I'm gonna clip that one for you, John. That's motivational, that's inspirational, and it's damn true. That's the most important part. And then I could sit here all day and say things that sound motivational, but if they're not true, then that doesn't really help anybody. I asked you that question because you have spent the time to develop these gifts and such. And to hear somebody like you say that is refreshing. I think, well, to me, but also to anybody out there listening who's thinking, I can't meditate. I can't this. I can't that. I've tried. My personal example with that one would be meditation. I've always meditated, but there was a time in my life where, I thought I was meditating, so to speak. And yeah, I was. I mean, meditation, whatever that means to you. But I'd sit for 20 or 30-minute meditations and, be done. Nothing ever really came further from those things. And of course, it did calm me down, and I practiced pranayama techniques and things like that. It wasn't until about 3 years ago or so. That's kind of when I left my old career, and just that was kind of the dark night of the soul for me a few years back. I really started meditating like with full intent, and really with the intent of ridding attachments to my old beliefs, my old mindset, my old frameworks. What drove me? Because what drove me back in the day was, money. I mean, that's kind of what drives a lot of people. That's the big liquid top of the pyramid in Western culture. And I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit that. Before I had a so-called spiritual awakening of sorts as an adult and really chose to really seek this path. I mean, that's what my life was about. I wanted to succeed in career, succeed in finance, and be able to take care of myself and my family. That's what I cared about. That those attachments came away. Now, I'm not saying give away all your money. You do need money to eat, so don't take that advice. I'm telling you to throw all your money away. It's just when those attachments, those things that were the most important things to me, and I realized that they really truly were not the most important things to me. That's what really pushed me to the next level was meditations. My meditations went from 20-minute meditations to I sat down at, 2, and now I thought it was a 20-minute meditation, and I'd come out at 6:30 out of a trance state and just spent the day in total bliss. Absolute magical trance state meditations. And then, the CE5 protocols and things like that, I explored those, but with an open mind, a new perspective, and that stuff really.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's so true, because we need more language for metaphysical concepts like meditation and energy work, to be honest. We don't have enough, because we might associate meditation with what we think it is, but what it actually is a lot. The tip of the iceberg is meditation, but beneath that, the surface is what it actually is. So diving even deeper. And, when we find that clarity, we can find what really makes us happy. So if your job or whatever is making you happy, that'll come to light, and you'll find a different path or something that makes you happy. But really doing what makes you passionate about, don't chase money, have money chase you. So doing what you're passionate about, you'll be more genuine, you'll love your job more, people will see that more, and you'll just live a more fulfilling life. And for some people, they have to work side jobs, to be able to get to that level. But it beats, it's just being stuck for a long, long time. But we got to pay the bills, we got to support the family, we got to do what we got to do. But there's always books we can learn online. What is it? What do I call it? In the car, university. You can just listen to podcasts and books and everything.
Podcasts and things. You can learn a lot these days passively.
Yep. So I read about 2 books a month or more, lots of podcasts. And so really endless. You don't know what you don't know until you know.
And and I'd tack onto that and say, the more I learn, the more I find out, the more I kind of feel like, wow, I really don't know. It only brings more questions. The bigger concepts I understand and the bigger connections I make only ever present yet another question, which is, I mean, that's the sauce of it all anyway. That's what's fun. Life wouldn't be fun if I knew everything and everything happened. If it was paint by numbers. I like the puzzle aspect of things. You figure that one out, well, now you got to merge the two concepts and figure out a new concept. Yeah, there's always another why.
It's like as we grow, that challenge is pretty hard, but now I have more experience, I can handle that. Now, does that mean I'm going to have to handle another challenge that's even more harder than that? But you're more equipped now, you're better at it. And with meditation, for a lot of people, I get it, it's not very exciting, but it makes you feel different. And if you can go into that bliss state faster, you don't have to do it as long. And, you'll eventually get to a state where you're in it more often. So you don't need to really do it that much, but it's good to have in your toolbox in case you need it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that aspect of things. As far as, whether we're talking about spiritual development or even just physical development, career development, whatever you're trying to do in life, anybody out there, I really champion meditation. A lot of people, and like you said, there's an idea in their head of what it is. I guess most people probably picture sitting Indian style in the half lotus position with the mudra. Yeah, okay, that's fine. But we know that meditation can mean many things to many different people, and it's really just about calming the mind, emptying the mind. I've heard it said that prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening to God. When I meditate, the goal was to have basically nothing going on up there so that there's plenty of open airspace for source to come in and, put whatever's in there. Maybe that's myself. I mean, now we're getting into quantum theory. But the goal was just to quiet the mind and see what happens when you listen. That's my take on it.
Yeah, and I can do a quick exercise if someone's not driving or operating machinery. We can put our awareness in different places pretty easily. So if anyone's listening, take a deep breath, close your eyes, relax. And I want you to mentally put your awareness on your big left toe. You are not your big left toe, but you can put your awareness there. You can put your awareness on your right index finger, but you are not your right index finger. And so when we relax and close our eyes, we can put our awareness in our bodies. A lot of times we want to have that heart and brain coherence. So our heart center or stomach area is really a good spot. And so that'll calm the thoughts down a lot faster. So if you open your eye or close your eyes, you can open them again and come back. And that awareness is a good way to go to sleep fast. If you're overthinking and you can't sleep, you can put your awareness somewhere and do breathing, like breathe in for 6 seconds and out for 6 seconds.
Like just box breathing type of stuff like that. And
yeah,
that's great. I actually did calm down. I'm open like that. I really try to take those kind of suggestions. Somebody says they have to empty your mind and focus. I really do empty my mind and focus.
Yeah.
Going from my left toe to my index finger, I mean, for me is, it might be easier for myself than others. I don't know. I mean, I meditate a lot, but just that simple act of taking your focus and putting it on something seemingly mundane helps. It closes off all that unnecessary static and noise that's going on that you realize didn't really end up there on purpose, I guess.
Yeah. Let's say there's an area of your body that's tight or needs healing. You can meditate and put that awareness on that spot. And just like shining a light on a vampire, the vampire will not like it because it's getting attention. Shining a light or putting our awareness on that spot can activate your body's ability to know that it can heal. And when you're in that relaxed state, you're not in fight or flight or stressed out. The other chemicals that are wonderful for you are going through your body, and it can activate that, able to heal.
And that's the whole goes back to the mind being the controller of the body. The example that I always like to go back to that's really so cut and dry is, and this is one you may have heard of, but under hypnosis, they've done experiments where, for example, they've hypnotized people to believe that they may have an allergic reaction. They have an allergy to a certain substance, like a walnut, or whatever it may be. I might be butchering the study, but we'll get the idea. And then, upon actually believing that one has an allergy to a certain substance and putting the walnut in their hand, or even a bouncy ball that's they're told is a walnut under, suggestion and under hypnosis in that theta state.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
They'll actually experience the anaphylactic reaction. It's like, okay, so what did Tyler just say? Well, what I said is that the mind does have power over the body.
Yeah.
Way more than you even understand.
We have the placebo effect and the nocebo effect. So I don't know. You guys didn't know this. About 50% of drugs don't pass through the FDA because the placebo effect is more powerful than those drugs that they're trying to get approved. So your mind is very, very powerful. So the nocebo effect, so they call it that because the people in the placebo group that are getting the sugar pills, there's this guy, he didn't feel good that day and he wanted to end his life. So he ate all 30 of the placebo pills, the sugar pills. His heart rate went up. He was freaking out. He went into the shock, and they called the doctor and he said, you didn't take the other pill. You took the sugar pills. He didn't realize. So his mind put him into that state. So your mind is able to do a lot with the placebo effect, nocebo effect. So focusing on what you want is really important. And also allergies. This is a really good point. So allergies is our subconscious mind protecting us from something that happened to us. So for a lot of people, if they have a food allergy or an allergy, what we can do with hypnosis is some of those allergies we can actually alleviate or mitigate. Because maybe you were little and you got stung by a bee and you freaked out, and your subconscious wants to protect you from that happening again. So next time it happens, it gives you an allergic reaction. So it's your subconscious mind. Yep. So
Tons of little anecdotal and published, matter and the power of it just, and even further, the collective mind and intent on others, not just self. But I mean, I know that you've done it, part of your hypnotherapy work, if I recall from our prior conversation, is that something you do, which I think is really cool. During regression, you work with clients who have had ET contact, and then you bring them back to the time of contact where they maybe don't have the memory. Is that correct?
yeah, yeah. So what really fascinates me about this work in hypnosis is the ability to remember memories from our soul's history that may not be from this life. And I'm a skeptic, and I'm like, well, how does that do that if the brain, just remembers what I did in this life? How does my brain do that? It's physical. How would it remember? But our mind is, we have an energy body, etheric body, we have a spirit body. So there's all these different things linked up there. And when we go into that theta frequency, we can tune in like we're tuning into a radio station, tuning into that station that would most benefit us to better our lives. So with regression hypnotherapy, we can regress back to childhood. And with the proper techniques, we can go back even further to past lives. A lot of birthmarks, fears, and phobias come from past life traumas and things of that nature.
And that's the magic sauce right now, is that the merging of science and spirituality. It's been called, I've heard it referred to from insiders as, we're merging the new physics. We're merging the understanding of old physics with the new understanding of physics.
And a lot of those Sanskrit, I do transcendental meditation, and a lot of that's in Ayurveda. Everything in Ayurveda was written thousands of years ago, and they talk about atoms and quarks and in the unified field. They knew about it back then. Our ancient civilizations have known this. So
we've been down a lot of the same paths, brother.
yes.
I've went down the student of the Vedas, although, I must admit it is hard being a native English speaker. The translations and such are difficult. They're very metaphorical. I wish I had a guru who could come and I could spend a lot of time with.
Yeah.
Translate these things for me, because I know there's a lot lost in translation between the ancient Sanskrit and such in the Vedas and the Mahabharata and things like that, which are so, I believe, to be so pertinent.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of words that can't be translated, especially in the Japanese language. Kaizen is a word that there's no English translation. You need like a couple sentences or it working hard and together in collaboration or whatever it means. But that's just one example. But yeah.
It's an interesting concept, John. I often speak on divide and conquer. That's the way. I mean, there's a lot more of us than them, so to speak. When people say they and them, they're usually talking about the elites or those who are generally malevolent and trying to control the masses, assuming that there is the masses. Well, there's a lot more of us than there is of them. It's just deductive reasoning. Something I always say and speak on is, the divide and conquer method. Divide and conquer is always alive and well, and it can happen within even factions. I mean, people who go down that rabbit hole of deciding that, okay, I understand that there are ancient techniques, there's ancient wisdom available that's being hidden from me. I understand that maybe some technology is being suppressed. I understand that maybe the history I was taught isn't exactly the history that happened. But we all go down these different paths. And, some people end up flat earth enthusiasts. Some people end up training in hypnotherapy. Some of us end up starting a podcast and talking to everybody. And some people go insane. It's all over the place. And that's, unfortunately, I think, a divide and conquer thing It's this the classic division thing. It's always important to remember, to me, that we, as humans, as people, as souls, trying to step up, trying to raise our consciousness as individuals and as a collective, there's almost an inherent responsibility to take that a little bit more serious, to use discernment, to act with dignity, and to help your fellow man, your fellow woman, your brothers and sisters once in a while, and to just keep an open mind, because these things that are coming out, these new techniques, these things that are becoming more accepted, like I said, seeds planted, seeds watered. I really believe we're going to hit that critical mass. It just takes these conversations over and over and over again, and one more person buying in, one more person giving an endorsement, one more person going down that rabbit hole. But and my point was, anyway, those rabbit holes we go down, I hate to see them divide us. Anybody who's out there thinking of the quote unquote they, we started somewhere with a similar intent, where we wanted to seek some knowledge, whether it be truth or knowledge of self. And any of us who are seeking truth or knowledge of self, I think we're in the same camp. We've got to use discernment now more than ever. We're really in a place where we're bombarded with so many different pieces of information. It's naturally very difficult to pick a side and such, especially from a place of, feeling like you're not an insider or anything like that.
Yeah. In the global elite, they've used divide and conquer and censoring and fear and all that stuff throughout history. So whenever there's something motivated and there's a fear along with it, or there's a lot of different reasons or several reasons a politician will make a statement, but always it benefits them in some way. So getting past that, knowing that we are all in this together, and when we're together and focus on what's important, then we can make a change. They always try to distract us with gas stoves or just some weird thing but money, where's the money, corruption, freedom of speech, all those core values. If we just focus on, they hate it when we focus on those things. They love it when we talk about the distraction topics, the climate, whatever it may be, but they hate it when we talk about where's the money, where's the corrupt, they will. So that's my,
God forbid we want to audit the Federal Reserve, right? Like, no, we look at this shiny red ball over here.
right.
Of course, they don't want it. If there's a day.
And just know they don't speak for everyone. A good way to influence, if you were going to run the world, the first thing you do is take over the media, the news, the voice, right? So they're doing that, but they make it seem like 90% of people are on that side, and that's called social proof. And that's a really good mind thing to help to distract people or to influence people to vote for them or do this. They make it seem like everyone's on board with this idea, and everyone, guys, just don't believe in that. Just do what you think is right in your morals.
Such a great point. And it's funny, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who I'd like for him to come on the podcast as well. He's an artist, but I haven't spoken to him in a couple of years. We spoke yesterday, and I don't know, he doesn't know exactly where I stand politically and everything like that. I mean, we hadn't spoken in a few years, so he was kind of touching on that. I guess he's pretty politically involved. Yeah, that being said, my show is not about politics. I don't sit here and take a left or right side. I've never really had a left or right side. I'm just me. For the record, I believe in personal freedoms.
Right. And part of that is not using your platform to tell people what to do. Like a lot of these singers and actors are doing in concerts now. And it's like, people came there to be free. We don't, music is one way to do that. Now they're using a platform to,
they're using art as a platform and an excuse to, further an agenda, which, I mean, it's kind of an insult to the art as an artist. I mean,
yeah,
but it's crazy times we're living in. But I feel I always walk around with this little. It's not little. It's generally an overwhelming sense of faith and optimism. And I do have those times where I see darkness and I see something that makes me feel a little bit hopeless in the moment. But overall, I mean, I do have a lot of faith in us as a collective. I think where we're headed and what we're doing, what people like you are doing, even myself, not to toot my horn at all. I'm not doing anything special. I'm just having conversations with people who are really doing special things like yourself. But that's something that people can do. There's a place for anybody who wants to contribute to the new earth, the paradigm shift. I mean, the new earth does not have to be this Dolores Cannon concept of you don't have to believe in any particular idea. At the end of the day, for the most, conservative person out there listening, the new earth can still just mean a place where the corrupt, malevolent leaders who are in control, who are in perceived control, maybe aren't anymore. And that we, as the people, realize that we have, like we've touched on, abilities, knowledge, and more that we just never have tapped into. And over time has kind of had a cap placed on it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that cap can't be removed.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is, be the change you wish to see in the world. And so for everyone out there, and we all do this if we're looking at the news or some frustrating argument, a lot of people, we kind of go over that argument in our head and it like bothers us and gets to us and changes our mood. But really ask ourselves, what is that benefiting us? How is worrying about that and rehearsing that in your mind really benefiting us, right? So what the universe is actually doing is it's getting the fire going underneath your skin and getting you, maybe you're just sitting there not pursuing your fulfillment of your purpose. So maybe it's wanting you to speak out more. It's wanting you to do that thing. Try that thing. One candle can light 1,000. So just by making someone smile, you can create a positive impact that day. So focusing not on the news or negativity, but focusing on your circle of influence. What can I do today to make the world a better place? Well, I can work out, eat healthy, I can read, I can meditate, I can give compliments to my friends, call that person I haven't called in a while. So we can always get back to our center and our circle of influence and not let those arguments and rehearsals, which we all do in our mind sometimes, get to us, and use that as fire to propel you toward what you really want to do.
Very well said, John. And I like something that you said there was, you pointed out doing things that are good for the world, and you pointed out some things that are actually, good for self as well. Meditate, read, learn, etc. Now, on the surface, one might think, well, how are those good for the world? That's good for the self. No, if everybody meditated a little bit more, and if everybody were a little bit more self-educated, read things for themselves, not just took it on faith, but if everybody did those things that fed their soul, that is good for the world. It's a classic argument of, in the airplane, please put your mask on before your child so that you may be able to put your child the mask on.
Yeah, here's a quote. It goes, you help you for me, and I'll help me for you. So I raise my elevation. I'm able to better serve you and help you and be friends with you, and you benefit you. So maybe one person's taking money constantly, or this is not an equal relationship. Well, if you help you for me, then when I'm in trouble, you can help me. And when you're in trouble, I can help you. So giving them a hand up, not a handout, and, just doing your circle of influence so you can, one, love yourself, that inspires others, and then you can help more people because they're going to want your help because you're a nice, genuine, loving person.
And in authenticity, and just that true authenticity to, commitment to your fellow human, that your fellow man, that's really palpable. I mean, I find that so attractive in a person, not, on a romantic level, but just when I see that in a person, that's a person that I want in my life. That's a person that I want in my circles. It's a person that I feel good around. People, you see you acting in that way when you really walk that walk. It's nothing but a good thing. I mean, they say, there's no such thing as a selfless good deed. I believe that. I mean, you can go around doing good deeds all the time and be Mr. Charity, and you're going to feel good. It's the way it is.
Yeah. Even on your worst day, you could be the best part of someone else's day. You could make that person smile. So there's always something you can do.
%. We all have so much more value than I think most people really give themselves credit for.
And part of what
right?
I'm near Canada, I'm in Michigan. And part of what I do is, that foundation of that structure of bettering yourself is bettering the world. And that's part of how I help people, is alleviate those traumas or struggles or challenges. Everyone has trauma, guys. We all have it, whether it's conscious or subconscious. There could have been a loud noise when you were a kid that scared you. We can let it run our lives, or we can do something about it. We can heal ourselves, live a more happy life, and helping others in the process. So taking care of that, we can put on the shield and be tough, but eventually we'll be vulnerable and tired, and it'll come out. So tackling that at the root cause with whatever modality is best for you. I use hypnosis and other means, but finding that person. Don't give up if you've just gotten a pill or therapy and it isn't working. No, give up. Be resilient. Be resourceful.
It's a good message. And there's so many modalities out there for people who are, in pain of any sorts that, like John's mentioned, are completely non-invasive. They're becoming more accepted. Part of what I do, is participate in those kinds of things openly, truly open heart space and everything. And I can say, actually, I will say just one thing that's really drastically changed, which is this must be a mind over matter type of thing, because it's one thing that's happened to me recently that I have no real explanation for. And Antonia Harmon, credit to you. She's doing that PTSD study that myself and my producer Jane are helping promote. She's out of the UK. I went on her show and then she came on mine and she did just a small little bit of energy work on me. And I've always had this pain in my left hip flexor. Broke a few discs in my neck in a car accident when I was in my mid-20s. And, I played football and boxed and such when I was growing up all the way through high school. I kind of roughed myself up a little bit. And I always had this massive pain in my left hip. And it would come and go, but it would at low be a 5 out of 10 and very often be a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Some days I'd be limping, I don't want to say disabled, but definitely affected my life. She just did a little bit of what she does is called energetic cellular regeneration. Similar, it started with studies of a salamander, they lose their tail, but there's actually still an electric, you can see with the right measuring equipment that there's absolutely the electrical imprint of that tail. And then you watch it regrow. That's something that they do. They regenerate, and then they moved on to frogs, and frogs don't do that. But this happened. This therapy of energetic cellular regeneration. And I kid you not, within maybe 3 minutes, and this happened on air, I have not had one single second of pain in my leg, hip, back, or anything. It's gone.
That's incredible. I listened to that one, and I wanted to get the raw footage of it because I think you cut out the part where she was doing the personalized with you, right?
Yeah, maybe not. Some of that stuff does, depending on what was said during it and such.
Okay.
But happy to share that stuff with you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the raw footage of it. Yeah,
what he's doing is incredible with PTSD. It's you don't have to go in deep into the talk therapy of it. It's kind of a reverse approach where you really tap into the energetic charge of that emotion and of that experience. You know what it is. You don't have to go into deep traumatic talk.
Right. You bring up the feeling of it, right? And from there, there's prompts and steps.
Realizes the charge of the emotion, so to speak. So you get to a point where, that trauma might be a 10 out of 10, but then, after a couple sessions, and in sessions, I mean, like this all happens within the course of 40 minutes. It's just like a couple different sessions in that 40 minutes. And you'll go from a 10 to a 7 to a 4 to a 0 to a 1. And you still have this memory, but all of a sudden you can talk about it and it's not traumatic. You can make connections. You can understand it from a level of like, this was traumatic to talk about and process. Now it's not. There's no emotion tied to it. It's just neutral. So that's just a plug for Antonia's amazing, groundbreaking PTSD case study. But
I love that. And guys, if you're out there and there's some chronic issue that you're taking pills, really for chronic things, we want something that creates a lasting change and can benefit you where you don't have to have that thing long term, because all that is the pharmaceutical company making money off, every time. But, if it's important, talk to a doctor first. But if a lot of things can be healed, especially PTSD and trauma, and pills can't do it. Hypnotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, what you were discussing changes the neural network of your mind. So it reframes it so you can live life without that trauma holding you back, because the subconscious, it loves you, it wants to protect you, but it's not rational. You can't say, hey, I'm not I'm not a kid anymore and my mom's not going to yell at me, to the subconscious. You don't have to put something there like a firewall so you won't get hurt again. And that
Right.
emotion gets trapped in the body until it gets released. And so with hers, or I do a similar thing within a few, maybe 2 or 3 sessions, completely PTSD, trauma, things of that nature can get eliminated. And it's wild. It's wild how it works. Fascinates me every time. And the benefits for the client it's so miraculous. So, and then they can live their life thriving and doing what they want to do, right? The pain isn't there, so you don't have to go through life with that, ceiling.
Now we could go deeper and say, well, that's something that was part of their soul contract. It's all good. But,
I will touch on that because one thing, so past lives isn't religious, it's just spiritual, and there's a lot of different ways that adds validity. One is you can do it over and over with the same meditation for 100 different people from all different walks of life, and they're all, or most of them will go into their past lives. So that experiment with the similar or same results is very valid, as well as the reports we get from near-death experiences, plant medicines, gurus, and spiritual leaders, and the Book of Ra, the channelers and things like that. So in some of my sessions, I actually can tell that another entity is talking through them because their voice will change. The tone, how they're talking will change.
Something,
what they're saying. Yeah, and tie this to what you said, throughout our past lives, a lot of people think, I'd want a life that I'm rich or famous or good looking. Souls will line up for those bodies more. It actually couldn't be further than the truth. Souls line up for the disabled bodies, the harder lives, more than they will the easier life because they can rid themselves of more challenges and more karma faster.
Pay off karmic debt. But it's like I can paying off that loan faster. Whatever way you want to look at it. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I've never heard it put that way, but I mean, that's logically speaking, that makes sense to me. I was told by a medium and also during a regression that during this particular incarnation, of course, this is, what you're told by regressionists and such. I was told that I picked an incarnation this time, packed a lot into it because I was getting close to the end of the reincarnation cycle. And my oversoul, apparently this is under regression. I thought I was hypnotized for 20 minutes. The video is 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, Magnus Larson. Yeah.
That kind of thing. But then I had another one with a medium who, I mean, it was a very powerful session because my mother passed just a couple months ago. And, she really came in with some stuff that, I mean, first of all, she admitted right away that she'd seen my show. So she was like, I just want you to know I didn't pick up any information off you on the internet or anything. But then she told me stuff that just very little minuscule inside stuff that, man, you can believe what you want to believe. I believe there was some channeling going on there for the other side. There was some things said that just, I don't know how anybody would have gotten that information without hanging out in that room 15 years ago when that one conversation happened. It's powerful, that kind of stuff. When you have those experiences, it's really opens you up. It really makes it like, I'm in, baby. Put me in. What else can we do? What else can we experience? There's a whole other world out there. I mean, I'm 32 years old, and it wasn't until I was in my late 20s, about 30, that I really opened up to CE5s and past life regressions and really taking them serious and trying to get as much as I could out of them.
Yeah.
Wow. Since doing that, meeting people like yourself, his life has just gotten so much more filled with magic.
I love that. And sometimes during my past life sessions, I'll tell you one example. I had a lady that was 500 pounds, right? Tried everything, tried all these things to lose the weight, couldn't do it. And for a lot of people out there, our weight is actually something that's emotional. Our subconscious is trying to protect us against. So our subconscious puts a barrier, more skin or weight in front of that. So maybe it'll protect us. So for a lot of people out there, there's something more than diet and exercise going on. Just in case you tried things and it didn't work, that could be a different path to the solution. For this lady, we went to she tried everything, went to past life regression. In a past life, she was the most beautiful lady of the time. She was the king's servant or concubine. She was the very prized lady. very beautiful. One day, the bad king took over, the good king died. So the bad king took over, and he would always pick her because she was the most beautiful. She was very sought after, but he treated her poorly, just like the rest of them. And so she started eating. She started eating and eating and eating to protect herself so she wouldn't be picked. And this vow carried over to this lifetime. That vow carried over to protect her. After she found that out, she lost hundreds of pounds. She was free from that planet. So that's just one example, guys. I have a bunch of examples, but that was a memorable one.
Right. I mean, I had different anecdotal stories and not similar, like regarding weight, but just drastic change. That's just absolutely the sauce. That's so incredible, John. And that's gotta feel incredible just to be a part of. I mean, it must be incredible. I know for me, it feels incredible to be doing anything that I love as quote unquote work, as a career. But it's got to just fulfill you as a soul, as a human, to know that you've impacted someone like that, to help shake loose that energy, that cleared and blocked in the life that they're living, and enhance that experience for them, which may have very well been written, but it played out.
Yeah.
Bravo to you.
I so I love what I do. I'm really passionate about it. I give 110% for every person I see. I'm fully there. I'm fully with them during the consultation call and the session, post session, and I'm there to support them along the way. And I get a lot out of these sessions. I learn a lot of lessons too, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. So I welcome anyone, whether you're first time to hypnosis or you've done it before. If you don't think you can do hypnosis, we can change that.
I recommend giving it a try with an open mind and an open heart, because
yeah, just going into it in my sessions, I have them write down their intentions. So they write down, I'm just like a pillow letter. A pillow letter is when you write down, if you want to talk to your subconscious through dreams, right? Dear dreams, I would like to know about such and such, and then end it. Yep. Love your name and put it under your pillow, and you'll be surprised about what you find during the nighttime. In my sessions, they write down what they want to find out, the deep connections. And then during the session, the higher self guides them to see the most beneficial moments. And guys, don't worry, because it won't show you anything you're not ready to see. It'll only show you what'll benefit you. So that alleviates a lot of people. And so it'll show you what will most impact your current life the most. Because I've done more than one session. And you say, well, did the same thing happen in both or all the sessions? No, a lot of times they go to different lives. Sometimes they'll go to the same life to learn more, but every session is different, even if it's the same person.
Yeah, I mean, myself, I've only had one past life regression done. It was, I think we seemed to touch on incarnations, maybe 3, but it was extremely beneficial to me. It was not at all what I expected, and I tried to go in with as little expectation as possible, just belief and openness. And that was only a month or 2 ago, so I'm not trying to get regressed every week. But it is something that I will do again, whether it be with the same regressionist or with somebody else. I mean, I found value in it. I had revelations. I had connections that I could make. There was symbolism there that made sense to me, that was beneficial, and it's definitely something I would do again. For those skeptics, I mean, if anything, because there's no harm associated with it. At worst case scenario, it's entertaining. I mean, just take it serious, though. If you take it serious, then we might get a little more than just entertaining.
Yeah, nothing bad's gonna happen. You're just laying there with your eyes closed and
just chilling.
I've done this with people. I have a brick and mortar place in Rochester, Michigan, the US, and I also do this online. So virtually there's pros and cons to each, but I find it's so comforting. So you don't have to go to a busy commute and stuck in traffic. You don't have to be in an office. You can be in the comfort of your own house. The furniture, everything's nice, and you can really go deep, as opposed to an office when you're in the same room with someone you might not know as good yet. So there's pros and cons to each. They both work. I record all the sessions and I send you the recording afterward. And it gives me the ability to help people from all over. So all over the world, people can find me on my Instagram, and I do sessions and stuff. So that really makes me happy.
Yeah, it's great. And, I love that. Yeah, I use that as the example of transmutation is something that's a big theme in my life Napoleon Hill. Damn, playing my spacing on the title.
Well, you read the Napoleon Hill's Habits or Laws of Success, or yeah, I read that
Pretty
too.
much everything he ever wrote. Actually, chapter 11 of Think and Grow Rich is, well, he goes a little deeper on it, and it's actually sexual transmutation, but the idea of transmutation is something that I take very seriously. And at its core, it's just the idea of what we touched on earlier of not recognizing good and bad, but recognizing facts, recognizing what's real to us in our experience, what it really means, what the perspective is, and moving forward through it, not through the good or the bad. And if you must label something as bad, or if something is inherently bad or sets you back, it's a lesson. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for transmutation, which for me, I mean, those things that I've had to overcome in life, which we've all had to overcome things. I'm not saying I'm special and I've had to overcome anything crazier than anybody else, but those moments of triumph, those periods of wow, that's testimony. Now that's not trial anymore. Now that's just testimony that made me who I am. That's transmutation to me. That's taking what could be perceived as bad and just looking at it as a neutral, and how can you make it all good, all
I lo-
positive, all
I love that. Yeah. And I see this thing that we call cycles or patterns. It's the universe will continue to test you until you pass that test. So for me, for example, I was afraid to speak my truth, and I wouldn't speak out if I saw something wrong, or I wouldn't say something to some person. And I built up this energy blockage in my throat. And when I was meditating one night, my throat kept going back like this, and eventually it broke open, and I was able to like talk more and communicate healthily more. And then next time I was tested, I was able to tell someone how I feel, and in a healthy, constructive way. So throughout our soul's history, sometimes we have tests that are hard that we didn't pass for many lifetimes, that during a past life regression, we can go back to and see what happened, or understand what happened from that perspective, learn the lessons, either clear that karma during the session or integrate that back into our life to take action in life.
in the current. Yeah, that's beautifully said. I really like your views on your approach, your ideology, what you've studied, and the way that you've developed your methods. It all sounds very well thought out. It sounds very found. So I really hope that the world starts to hear about Jonathan Robinson, the hypnotist, soon. Um, because your viewpoint's very refreshing. It's very authentic. It's very honest. And the other thing is that I want to touch on, and I don't know, maybe I'm skewed in this. I live in America. I live in Florida. I do travel a lot, but I've had a number of Reiki healers and hypnotists and such on the show, and most of them have been female, which doesn't mean anything to me. But for example, I have a sister I'm very close with. That's actually whose house I'm at right now. She's a master Reiki practitioner. She does Reiki as well. And it's not that I've never met men who do energy work or Reiki work or anything like that. But here in Michigan, a little different spot than where I roam. Just out of curiosity, is that something that you've noticed in the past few years, recently, since you've become, involved in the community, being a male, energy healer, hypnotist, etc., versus what now this could just be my opinion and what I've noticed over the past 6 months or so. What seems to be population of at least the majority being females, doing these energy work for Reiki healing and things like that, which is totally, I think, one, to be random, and two, there's no actual correlation between the male or female ability to do these kinds of things. But just as someone who's actually in it, doing it, I was curious your perspective on that. Is that something you've ever noticed?
Yeah, there are more women in this work, but that's a good opportunity for more males to come on in. Guys, got a lot of friends. We need to equal this out, right? But we all come into our incarnation with masculine and feminine energy, and then we incarnate into our body. And for men, a lot of times we're raised to shield things or act tough, or just don't complain and get by. But men can be just as nurturing as women, and every family should have a families that are strong families typically have a strong father figure, right? That creates a strong family and creates a strong community. But we need that nurturing side too. We don't always need to be the law or the follow the rules type of thing.
100%.
But I find it no different. I think when you open up to love and you get past the insecurity of, well, what if this person treats me wrong or so? Like, I'm nice to everyone. I smile at everyone. I could care less if they're nice to me back. I don't care. I'm going to go about my day. I'm going to be nice. I don't care. And so a lot of people will fear rejection or feel, oh, what if they don't respond to me the way I responded? But just be that change, be the love, smile at people. They'll smile back.
Right.
Nurturing. Guys can do Reiki. Guys can do meditation. Everyone should learn these things just so you have it in case you need it.
Amen, Joan. That was about the best answer I could have hoped for that question. It's got nothing. I'm not speaking on why. Just speaking on the Bureau of Labor statistics. There's more males in that field. There's more male oil rig workers. Now, there's some reasons for those things.
Well, they have to be in that masculinity a lot, in that position of authority. So women can do it. Everyone can do it, but it takes a lot, or it's sometimes more natural for the men to do that. But women can be great leaders. We're all just people, right? We can do anything anyone else can do.
And that's kind of what I was hoping that your answer was. And I'm happy to hear you say that, men out there, if you've ever felt, I've never felt that the calling to become, an energy healer. But if I did, I'd be very open to such a. That being said, I imagine there's men out there, and myself, even at a time, if I had, a meditation and started having downloads of that sort, I might have been hesitant to, unleash that information and start promoting myself in that way. Maybe. I don't know. At this current moment, I can say no, I wouldn't be. But I know at some point in my life I would have been, and there's probably a man or two out there that might feel the same way just due to family stigma, their friend group, etc. Well, it's kind of all part of that, that test, that big ever going test with pop quizzes in between and everywhere that we call life, where we learn lessons, and those are the big ones where we got to make those decisions. Are we true to ourselves, or are we, pleasing the greater good for the wrong reasons? Of course, there's nothing wrong with doing what's best for the greater good, but at the cost of self with capital S. I think that's a dangerous thing to do. And I think, not that I think all men should go around. I don't think we should switch roles, start wearing dresses, and just go around crying all the time. That's not what I'm suggesting. I think you hit the nail on the head there, where it's, it's both. Where we came into this incarnation masculine and divine feminine both. Yeah, I've heard it said that the best men are the ones who, have a sword, know how to use it, and also know how to keep it sheathed and when to keep it sheathed. And when to keep it sheathed is about 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
Just, I guess, having that capacity to be a protector or whatever it may be, just based on life circumstance, that has no tie with the ability to tap into energy, to do Reiki, to become an accomplished hypnotist, etc. So I'm glad that you're out there doing your thing. I'm glad that you are a shining example of all of those things: a light worker, an energy worker, a Reiki healer, an hypnotist, all of that stuff. You're a man, but you recognize your divine masculine and your divine feminine, and that's what breaks down the divide and conquer. That's the bridge. That's what takes all these, that's what takes it all away and makes us realize that there's unity to be had and enjoyed.
Yeah, we have all been male and female, black and white, rich and poor, all different cultures, and we do this to learn lessons. So, that would take away a lot of discrimination, I think, if we all know we've all had chances to be that other thing. So we're nicer to each other. So we see each other as souls, not as people with differences. I mean, differences make us amazing. I love different cultures and stuff. That makes us unique. And if we all thought the same way, how boring would that be? Diversity is intellectual diversity as well. So learning new things. And if you want to try something new and maybe you're afraid what your friends are going to think about it, just like planting the seed, just repetition. Don't be afraid that they're going to put you down or something like that. Just try it. You don't need, a lot of people try yoga or Reiki, and then their friends asked them to explain it to them, but they don't know how to explain it yet because they're brand new at it, and then they get discouraged, right? It's okay. Just
makes a joke or something.
Yeah, make a joke, and then
a little bit.
So don't be afraid of that. Just say, yeah, I'm doing Reiki. If you want to join me, just talk like it's a matter of fact. Maybe plant the seeds. They don't need to do it with you, but you can do it, and maybe they'll see those changes a few weeks later, and then they'll want to do it after they. How's your skin look so good? You look so energized. How you do that? So the first time I did Reiki, I felt so much more confident and better that I wanted to learn how to do it. So I just get it done once, maybe try it. There's so many things to better yourself in this world. Just keep being resourceful.
Yeah. So John, a little bit, just tell me about John before he was a hypnotist at you work, or what did you do before then? Did you have like a wake up experience? Pardon me, I was away from the mic there for a second. Before energy work and Reiki and hypnotism and all that stuff, was there like a wake up moment? Was there a wake up experience? Was there a time where things changed drastically, or was this something that you've kind of, always been attuned to since an adolescent and really stayed true to, or was there a classic wake up? And I ask because, people approach me all the time and they seem to be really in that position of misery in the quote unquote 3D 9 to 5 zeitgeist. Just, they don't know what else to do. That's what they're doing. They want to do something else. They might feel like they're having touches of inspiration and downloads of abilities and such, but family, social ties, other things of that nature, hold people back from making that life change. I was one of those people. Was there a time like that for you where you had kind of that dark night of the soul, that wake up
Yeah. And I'll actually relate it back to the duality thing too. So sometimes challenges can be the best part of what happened to us. So I'll give you an example. This one guy had in a session. He was in the session in a past life and he was stabbed in an alley. And I said, why, how can we learn from that? He said, well, these are your friends. Well, I'm like, what do you mean? These are your friends. If that person continued on their path, they would lead down this road of not knowing and not growing. By having that challenge happen, almost dying, that put them on a completely different trajectory, right? That's kind of a hard thing for friends to do with souls, right? But for me,
lessons.
Yeah. So for me, I was a wakeboarder and I was in the manufacturing selling. And so one day, before a job interview, I crashed on my wakeboard and I got a concussion. And so the job interview didn't go.
I'm glad we met.
The job interview didn't go that well because I couldn't think good, right? And so I'm like, oh, I'm so bummed out. I didn't get the job, blah, blah, blah. And it was with another manufacturing company. And so I didn't get the job and I was sad. But then I went to the doctor and he said, well, my back was hurting. And he said, well, you're going to have to get surgery and take these pills for a few years before surgery. And I said, I didn't say this directly, but I fired him immediately. I hired a yoga therapist, a strength trainer, and a physical therapist and a yoga instructor. And I decompressed my spine, worked on core exercises, no surgery, no pills. So you can, and a lot of people, like, they're going through brain fog or something cognitive. So it's harder for them to be resourceful like that. And so a doctor as a caller and authority says, you need to do this or this. That's fear. That's control. We can go to another, fire them. The doctors are like at gas stations. They're commodity. There's one at every city, every gas station. And some of them don't really care about us. They treat us like a number. So that's why I think more holistic wellness practitioners that are focused on diet, nutrition, and lifestyle will be the future.
John, we are going to be really good friends, and I'm going to be bummed if we don't stay connected after this because
you're a wakeboarder?
There's way too many synchronicities here with what we believe in and what we've got going on.
So that moment changed my life, and I was able to propel myself toward empowering myself and not being a victim, and empower myself to heal myself, be a problem solver, right? And so a lot of people come to me for all different things, so many different things with hypnosis, biting nails, relationship issues, stop drinking pop. Could be any. I've helped people with so many, and it takes a lot of problem solving for me. So I prepare for the session in depth and I get right in. And so usually what I can help them with is other things that failed them. And then they come to me, or not just me, guys, it's anyone else, but you're doing the healing. You're empowering yourself to make those changes. We're just helping guide you.
Facilitating. Yeah. That's how I know I pay attention to the signs, There's signs that warn you against things. There's signs that give you that feeling that you're supposed to take that path, not supposed to go left, not right. And you get those confirmations that maybe you're walking down the right path. I mean, so I have a very similar, and I've said this on this podcast before, but I've got to say it to you because it's, it's like a wow, saying something similar happened to me where well, actually, very recently, I had my 12th concussion about 2 months ago. It was a random attack in Tampa, Florida. It was a mistaken identity thing. Some people thought I was somebody else that was attacked from behind, but I found out it was my 12th concussion, which is a lot, just on medical record and everything like that. But so the concussion thing, I definitely identify with, and I feel for you on that one. But I had a similar incident, which I try to dance away from it because it's Joe Dispenza's classic story of self-healing and all that with the neck break and everything. But I had a really bad car accident 6, 7 years ago, probably about 7 years ago, major highway here in Clearwater, Florida, going 60 miles an hour, multiple car accident. I broke 3 vertebrae in my neck, spent 6 months in a brace, was not allowed to drive. I was told not to ride in cars. And then after the 6 months was supposed to be a corrective surgery. I was vehemently against surgery, not want neck surgery. I did not want pills. I didn't take it. People know this. I'm in recovery. I don't use hard substances or anything like that anymore. I was against taking pain medications and things like that at that time, and I still am. Not against anybody who does. There's people who need them. I just personally don't feel comfortable taking pain medication unless I really, 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 really need it. Yeah. That's just me. So yeah, I had that, and I did the brace thing for 6 months, no pills, a lot of, frequency healing type stuff. And I don't just mean like with sounds, but with, like the mats, the grounding stuff and all that, and just a lot of different alternative therapy type things, meditation. And, I get back after 6 months and they say, everything's great. Like, I don't really know what you did. You must have followed our directions. You do not need surgery. I'm fine. And furthermore, you mentioned the weight thing earlier. No, we'll round it up. And we're somewhere between a year and a half and 2 years, but I literally have lost 150 pounds.
Wow, that's amazing, Tyler.
It wasn't any massive change in diet or philosophy or extra exercise. Yeah, you could attribute a loss of 20 pounds or so to just a mindset change. That's reasonable. And somebody loses half their body weight. I mean, I was overweight. I was about 270, 280 pounds. I'm only 5'7".
Wow.
So I was heavy. And there's pictures out there.
And now you're like 150. You're like 140, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I'm about in the 135, 140.
You're real healthy.
Good,
Yeah.
in the mirror and all that. But it was all during that dark night of the soul. I left what a lot of people think of as like why would you, the dream job, this is a job where you'll have security working here for the rest of your working years. You could probably buy the business if you want, etc. Good career, interior designer. I had to settle somewhere. And yeah, I left that, started reading, started meditating. But what I didn't mention was during that time, I just dropped so much weight. And of course, I was trying to be healthier, but not enough to explain losing 150 pounds. And, now I'm like physically in a shape the way that I was when I was damn 16 years old. And I feel great.
And your lifestyle hasn't changed that much, but maybe your patterns in your head have a lot.
More attributed to a mindset change than, a consciously paying attention to a diet or working out a certain amount of hours a day. Just more that trust fall. I always speak about that following the path thing, man. And that's the type of stuff that really makes me believe in miracles. I mean, I've seen it in others, but
I love that.
There's less bandwidth being taken up. And even though some of those things were not inherently negative, there's a path that I'm supposed to follow. There's something I'm supposed to be doing that has to do with my true self. And without reading some of those things, I wouldn't be able to. And there's a positive to that. Sometimes you also, you might rid a loving relationship that you thought was going to last forever. Maybe you realize that there's a silver lining and maybe you lose 150 pounds too. Yeah, you just never know what's going to happen.
Or maybe the wife, like I had this one lady who liked the money, but she didn't like sleeping with her husband, so she ate a bunch of food to get rid of that. But
That's pretty funny. But not funny, but you know what I mean? It would be funny if it were a movie.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's what these challenges teach us is so much, and we're able to integrate that into our lifestyle. And if you're someone out there that's tried different things and nothing worked for you, and you wanted to give up, but there's still this longing for bettering yourself or getting past that blockage, try one of these modalities. Find a holistic healer, try a Reiki, hypnotherapist, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be me. Just go to someone local that you vibe with,
And
ask questions, really get to know them.
100%. And to tack on to that, John, I would say, you know, even if you're not ready to take that kind of dive or you don't want to do anything that personal, you're a social individual, we're out there. Your tribe's out there. You know, reach out to us. We've got groups, they're free, they're group chats. There's no stupid questions. If you're going through what you think might be a little bit of a dark night of the soul, a little question of spirituality, a little search for self or God or universe or prana, quanta, whatever you want to call it. There's plenty of free communities out there that don't cost you anything to talk to like-minded people. You know, my profile, my immersive page, my producer Jane's profile is actually way bigger than mine. You'd think she'd be the host. Shout out to Jane. I always like to shout her out. She does a lot of work behind the scenes. She runs communities on Instagram. She got 200,000 followers and thousands of people in her groups. If somebody messages us and says anything about they need help or they're uncertain about this kind of something, they're immediately being thrown into one of these groups where we're all boats rise. Happy, 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 love, love, love. If that's not your tone, then you're not supposed to be in that group.
Yeah. And
You know, there's free resources out there, free communities where you can just ask questions and you can seek knowledge. Your friends and family don't have to know about it. You're for the lack of you're almost anonymous. So reach out to John if you felt comfortable with the way he talks. Reach out to me if you've seen me a million times and you're like, I wonder if I can get a hold. You can get a hold of me. I will answer you. Reach out to Jane. She'll also answer you. There's people out there that will guide you along. One thing I can say for myself and many others that I know, those of us who have had that quote unquote wake up, dark night of the soul, leave our perfect career and family and try to seek self.
yeah, we both have.
We've all been through it. That's not been easy the whole time for all of us. It's been tough. And, you know, similar to the way people get sponsors for other things, I'm not telling you to get a 12-step sponsor for this or anything, but if you're just struggling, you're not ready to dive into energy work yet, but you're feeling a little weird, just reach out. Reach out, and I think you'll find that there's some like minds out there. Wouldn't you agree, John?
There's all these holistic healers. From what I can tell, they've given me great hope in the world. They just want to help each other and raise the consciousness, help others. And that's seeking that mentor, peer, protege group. We're not going to be good at everything we do the first time. It's okay. Just keep going and you'll get better and better. And people are there to help you that were in your spot years ago. We're all here to help each other, to learn, to progress. And we can celebrate a little bit. That's why we got music and entertainment and things like this. We can enjoy this beautiful planet.
It's we're switching into that abundance mindset. Scarcity mindset has controlled. I mean, I can only speak for Western culture. That's what I've experienced my whole life. But that scarcity mindset that we've been conditioned to operate on, I think we're starting to realize that that's not the case, that there's abundance out there. There's enough of it. What is it? I know we're thinking about greenbacks. We're thinking about dollar bills. That's not necessarily what I mean. Could be a part of it. But I do envision a world where it's not just a world based on fiat currency. Call me crazy, but I believe in a world where maybe energetic exchange becomes important again. And I'm already starting to see that.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You have something to offer. All of you out there have something to offer. Like John is. John's a shining example of just he's offering what he's got to offer. And I hope that somebody's clicking his links when we post this episode and lets John Robinson tinker around in that subconscious. Because when you open up to that kind of thing, I promise you're going to be blown away.
Yep, take the past life quiz. I'll send you guys a guided recording for energy clearing and visualization. So you like this episode. I've listened to several of your episodes, Tyler. I really love the content. So if you're coming here from my following, just check out some more of his stuff. He's got some really, really spiritual people on here and joining with Gaia soon. So that's lots of good things happening.
Yeah, thank you, John, very much. Yes, we are indeed, for John's audience, we're a bit of a new show, but we've got a backwards problem. Most people start a show and their issue is, how do we promote it on social media? Well, we don't have that problem. We're plenty big on social media. Truth be told, my problem right now is I have guests who, they're happy to come on, but I'm telling them, I don't want to have you on the show. You're too a part of like human history to be on a show with 550 subscribers. You gotta wait. You know what I mean? Those really big names that are in the history books. Big things are coming up for the immersive, and I say that not as something exciting for just myself, but for anybody who's on for you, who's on the show right now, and anybody who's been on, and anybody who's going to. Uh, it's just something that Jane and I really believe in. It's something that we've got a lot of third party confirmation in regards to from different organizations. Gaia is one of them you just mentioned. It's very recent. So shout out to Gaia TV. We appreciate you and can't wait to have a call with you to further our conversation. If you're watching this, Five TV is also great. Both great networks. GFL Clothing has been amazing. This is probably the first episode in like 10 that I'm not wearing a GFL clothing. I just usually pick either a hat or a shirt. I felt like wearing some. By the way, guys, we sell merch now. They come in like 5 different colors, hats, plenty of different colors, mugs, flasks, candles, all that fun stuff. And we're basically going on a world tour starting in September with Portal to Ascension. We're going on events with them, uh, hosting an 11-day consciousness streaming event in between. Then we do an all shift happily now with Tim Tactics, Sarah Bressman Cosme, Sarah Zula, and Kedrick Olson. And Kedrick is the next guest on this show. So with all that stuff coming up, hell of a lot of camera time for the Immersive Podcast, some great interview opportunities, and I'm not quitting. So I feel a duty to grow this, not just for me, but for anybody who's been involved, helped support, and who's watched. Let's go to the top, guys. Let's do it. John, I really, really thank you for your time today. I don't want to keep you any longer. We've done a long podcast here, which is great. You've been such a pleasure to speak with, and I hope I don't lose your connection after this because I think we could be close friends. Something I ask everybody. What's a book that you've read that changed your life?
The Secret. The Secret is a great book, and A Journey of Souls by Michael Newton was the first past life book that I read.
Okay. Those are some good ones. People will list obscure ones sometimes.
On my website, guys, if you go on the website, I have a list, like a library on there where I list recommended books. So
that's a good idea. That's really cool. Do you do any blogging or writing or anything like that on your website or anything else?
So I'm actually working on release. So yeah, I have the past life quiz on there, but I actually have a few recorded sessions. So I record the sessions and put them on YouTube for people that want to participate and volunteer to do that. If you do a session with me, you don't have to do that. But I put music and videos to what's going on during the session. And I have a few new sessions that I'm going to release on YouTube soon. So if you find my Instagram, you'll find that too.
Okay. And if you want to say your Instagram and your YouTube handle out loud, just so people hear them, they will be in the bio right down there. Click them. You're going to say those out loud just so people hear them.
What's Journeys? Journeysintopastlives.com is the website, and Journeys into Past Lives is my Instagram. There's an underscore underneath each word, but I should show up there.
Absolutely. So please go and find John. Check out his website. He's got videos on there. Your YouTube page. People check out his YouTube page. Anything we haven't mentioned, anything that is a way to get in touch with Mr. Robinson here. Like I said, not to be repetitive, but it will be in links, so you'll be able to find him. For whatever reason you can't find something, always like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. But put in the comments, any questions you have, and I will hop to and get you that information. John is in Michigan, so he's in the U.S. I believe you're in what, Central Time Zone? Is that correct?
Eastern Standard Time. I help people from all over, but I do also have a brick and mortar shop. Some people do like to do it in person so they can drive here if they want.
So, Great Lakers up there. If you guys want to do an in-person session, John's your man. He's got the spot and he's legit. And I can personally say that the online sessions are not terrible either. I do appreciate the benefit of being in the same room with someone and mixing energies, but you can do a lot over the internet these days. I can attest to that. Yeah, John, it was great to have you on today. It was great speaking to you. Really good to make your acquaintance. And quite frankly, I could speak to you for hours more. I think we could probably do another episode or a live or anything collaborative that you'd like to do.
Yeah, we should. I feel like we could we didn't even cover some of the stuff that we talked about.
Remember we said that at the beginning, you tend to make a list and then stuff just goes off into a good conversation. But to me, that just means this is a guy that I can vibe with. So I see a repeat guest and I see the occasional live stream here and there if you would like. Always looking to all boats rise, man. That's what it's all about. That being said, I don't want to keep you on forever, and I don't want to keep people looking at videos that say 3 hours and turn them off to that kind of thing. So nothing wrong with a part 2, right?
Excellent. It was such a pleasure. Yeah, wonderful podcast, great conversation. I like to be genuine. I like to be honest, and I feel like with you, it's very easy.
I can sense your authenticity. I truly can. It's you're very easy to talk to. Your answers have been very authentic, and I mean it. I'd love to do another episode, or at least a live, or anything we can do to
help people expand their minds. Right? Help people
expand consciousness.
Yes, empower them, expand,
anything,
improve, absolutely, inspire, motivate. You guys can do it. Keep up the good work. It's gonna take all you got, but you got what it takes.
You do. You got what it takes. And there is a critical mass. Once we hit that point, things start to change, and it's already happening. I know you feel that shift. So this is Tyler with the Immersive Podcast. I thank our esteemed guest, Jonathan Robinson, today, certified hypnotist, energy worker, Reiki master, and many, many more, and just an all-around gentleman and a scholar. Thank you to all of our sponsors. And again, sorry, one more shameless plug. The Printify link is in the bio. I want to see some people showing me pictures of them in some tip merch. So shirts, hats, flasks, all that fun stuff. If you don't want to get that, I'll settle for seeing you wearing GFL's clothes. I really like their company. Everybody, have a great day. Look forward to seeing John come on again, because I'm going to bother him to come on again. And next episode will be Kedrit Olson, so that one will be fun. Love you all. Tyler Tivador, the Immersive Podcast, out.